It's actually my worry about the overall economy and then the impact on the stock market. So what I'm seeing coming in the future is that we're going to slip into a recession, right? Probably second half of 2023. If this yellow line breaks and price starts trading below, you're honestly probably headed back to sub 20,000 on Bitcoin. So this level, again, we'll call it like 21,400. Watch to see if that level holds for the next week or so. If it doesn't hold and we break, be very careful.
In today's video, Chief Market Strategist of InTheMoneyStocks.com Gareth Soloway tells us all about his latest analysis of the charts as well as his predictions and price targets for Bitcoin. Soloway shares his opinion regarding high inflation rates, the stock market, the crypto market, and the Fed. Before listening to him, please ensure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel.
What kind of weight do you put into these death cross, golden cross? And with the death cross on the weekly, what should we expect as far as price action moving forward?
Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of death crosses or golden crosses overall in technical trading, right? The main reason is because they're so publicized by the media that, and it's kind of, you notice the coin, right? The death cross, or the golden cross. So it's really, it's more of a media thing. The only time I pay attention to death crosses or golden crosses is when price is coming into that cross at the exact time it's crossing. So I don't know if you guys can show my chart here, but basically like, all right, so let's imagine here's a death cross, right? So the death cross is right at this pivot point right in the middle. The only time that it's important is when price is coming up to it. Then that's a no-brainer short where it's going to fall to the downside. So those type of situations I really pay attention to. But like you said, golden cross on the daily, a death cross on the weekly, how do you even figure that one out when there's multiple signals in both? The one thing I will tell you is that I haven't bought this rally, meaning I don't buy that all of a sudden we're in a new bull market yet in crypto, right? So the main issues I have is that while this was an absolutely remarkable rally up, in the scheme of things, if you zoom out on the chart, it's still a relatively small move, and you could arguably say that this move here is the same size as this move here. I mean, it's not much different in dollar amount to the upside, nor is it this low to this high, right? So for me, it's nice to see, but it was coming off of the December kind of tax loss selling. So once December's over and people have sold for tax purposes to reduce what they owe the government, there's just naturally this void of sellers. So it allows for rallies to take place in the stock market, in the crypto space. And then again, you look at, we don't have transparency. We hear, now Kraken's being targeted. We hear all these other things. And so at this point, I'm not ready to buy the whole narrative of, we're now in a new bull market and here we go. I want to see more proof of it before I put myself behind that. And what I didn't like about this rally is that we literally, what did we go up 35% off the lows? You had the same bullish sentiment in the market that we had it when we were at 65,000. And that people jumped on the bull bandwagon far too fast. If you go back to 2001 after the dot-com collapse, 2009, the first move in any beginning of a bull market that occurs, most people are scared. It's shitless. I don't know if I can say that on this program, but hopefully I can. All right, so they're scared shitless about that first move. It's too scary. They think, oh my goodness, this has to be a fake out. In this situation with crypto, everyone was like, new bull market, here we go. Here it goes back to all-time highs. That's a dead indicator it's not a new bull market, right? People haven't been, gone through the despair and the kind of the giving up phase of a bear market. So that coupled with the fact that we now need to establish ourselves and actually make higher highs, that would be something that would get my attention. So just looking back at the chart again here, we can see that we did take out, so the one positive here, and this is what's interesting, right? So this area here, and let me just draw some rectangles here. So this area right here, that was where FTX collapse began. Here, notice how when we came back to that, it was resistance. It was tough for the markets to break through, but eventually it did. Look at where we find ourselves back to, right at that same level. So this is an important level for Bitcoin. If there's one level you're following that could tell us there's a bull market here, if this level holds and we can go take out the high right here from which was around 24,300, that would be a positive. If this yellow line breaks and price starts trading below, you're honestly probably headed back to sub 20,000 on Bitcoin. So this level, again, we'll call it like 21,400. Watch to see if that level holds for the next week or so. If it doesn't hold and we break, be very careful.
You've said that, your bottom is around, I think you've said 12K and then 10 to 14K. Are you still in that camp, or do you think the bottom is in?
No, I actually am still in the camp that we still have some further downside to go. Yeah, definitely in that camp. Again, just because I haven't seen the flush out, and one of the biggest concerns I have about the crypto market is not that we're not going to get regulation and transparency. It's actually my worry about the overall economy and then the impact on the stock market. So what I'm seeing coming in the future is that we're going to slip into a recession, right? Probably second half of 2023, we go into a recession. The markets are going to turn to the Federal Reserve and say, okay, could you print us out of this recession like you've done every down move in the economy over the last 15, 16 years? And the Fed is going to say, guys, we would love to, but the problem is inflation's still, let's say, 3% or 3.5%. So we can't. Now the market's faced with what I would say is like this long, drawn-out recession period where earnings are going down. And you might say, well, what the heck do earnings have to do with crypto? Well, the problem is if investors start to dump stocks, and we say, let's say we see another 25% down move in the S&P, now figure out how crypto holds up in face of that, right? So if we see a mass exodus of risk assets, it's hard to imagine crypto doesn't get caught in that wave.
What are the charts telling you on, say, some of the traditional finance?
Yeah, so that's a great point you're bringing up, is that the dollar, which is really instrumental in what the market does. And notice today, the daily chart of the dollar, we have a red candle today, and so the markets are up. The stock market goes up. Basically, what you'll notice is there's an inverse relationship with the dollar. So when the dollar goes up, markets fall. When the dollar falls, the markets go up. Well, this pattern formation, this 3-bar move up with this sideways chop is known as a bullish consolidation pattern. So this pattern, the probabilities of this pattern playing out would be to the upside. So what that tells us, if we extrapolate that out, and we know that when the dollar goes up, the market sells, if we do get a pop in the dollar, you would assume that we would see an asset sell-off tomorrow on the CPI. So that's correct, yeah. So the dollar at least is confirming what you're mentioning about maybe we see a not-so-great CPI number tomorrow.
Or what are the charts telling you on when it comes to XRP token?
Yeah, so chart, it's actually a really interesting chart because what we have here is this what's called a wedge pattern. And wedge patterns basically are drawn when you connect the high recent lows, and when you have a wedge pattern, it's basically a triangle coming to a head, and it essentially tells you that price is getting tighter and tighter. It's almost like a spring being wound up. Now the problem is we don't know which way it's going to go. Is it going to break out edge, or is it going to the downside? And that's really where the issue comes in, is where we know that this chart is going to come to a head, right? These two lines are going to meet, let's say, a month from now or whenever. And so what it tells us is probably you're right. There will be a judge's decision, and that's going to force price to either have a huge move up or a huge move down. Again, based on this, I have no idea which direction that's going to go. The only thing I can advise people is, like, anytime you would never want to put your whole cash in anything that it's reliant on one judge's decision, right? Because again, what if he woke up on the wrong side of the bed? I mean, there's just variables that I don't like doing. So again, to have a kind of a lottery ticket, if you will, I think that's fine. Put 5% of your account in it, or 2%, or whatever you feel comfortable with, but also going in with your eyes full wide open, right? If you love it, my thing is I don't love anything I invest in. All right. And again, this is my policy, is like anytime I invest in something, I'm using it to make my family and I money, and I will dump it the second it changes the chart on me. And I think one of the detriments that most investors have is they fall in love with these things. And always remember, don't love it if it's not going to love you back. And I'm telling you, XRP does not love anyone, right? And so you want to use it to your advantage. And then if it changes the chart, get rid of it. And by doing that, you free yourself. All of a sudden, you become a capitalist, if you will, and you're just in and out. You're in and out, and you're just taking advantage of so many opportunities versus falling in love. I mean, heck, there were people that fell in love with Tesla stock when it was trading at $400. Now it's at what, 200? 175. Elon Musk isn't sitting there saying, "Oh, Johnny over there, he loved me, so I'm going to make sure the stock stays as high as he can for him." No,
He's even selling it.